Hi, here we go again. We're going to read chapter 29. And chapter 29 is called The Black Spot Again. Now, the reason it's called that is because there was a chapter called The Black Spot before. And if you remember, that was the chapter where the blind man Pew, one of the pirates, came and gave the captain, Billy Bones, a piece of paper that had the black spot on it, and it freaked out Billy Bones so bad he actually had a stroke and died. So it's probably not a good thing, right? So this is the black spot again. And remember, that black spot was a message from the other pirates that they were coming to do something. So this must mean another kind of message or something in the way that pirates do their business, right? Okay, here we go. The black spot again. The council of buccaneers had lasted some time when one of them re-entered the house with a repetition of the same salute, which it had, in my eyes, an ironical air, begged for a moment's loan of the torch. Silver briefly agreed, and this emissary retired again, leaving us together in the dark. "There's a breeze coming, Jim," said Silver, who had by this time adopted quite a friendly and familiar tone. I turned to the loophole nearest me and looked out. The embers of the great fire had so far burned themselves out, and now glowed so low and duskily that I understood why these conspirators desired a torch. About halfway down the slope to the stockade, that's the fence, is the stockade, right? They were collected in a group. One held the light, another was on his knees in their midst, and I saw the blade of an open knife shine in his hand with varying colors in the moon and torchlight. The rest were all somewhat stooping, as though watching the maneuvers of this last. I could just make out that he had a book as well as a knife in his hand, and was still wondering how anything so incongruous had come in their possession, when the kneeling figure rose once more to his feet, and the whole party began to move together towards the house. "Here they come," said I, and I returned to my former position, for it seemed beneath my dignity that they should find me watching them. "Well, let 'em come, lad, let 'em come," said Silver cheerily. "I've still a shot in my locker." The door opened, and the 5 men standing huddled together just inside pushed one of their number forward. And in any other circumstances, it would have been comical to see his slow advance, hesitating as he set down each foot, but holding his closed right hand in front of him. "Step up, lad," cried Silver. "I won't eat you. Hand it over, lubber. I know the rules, I do. I won't hurt a deputation." Thus encouraged, the buccaneer stepped forth more briskly, and having passed something to Silver from hand to hand, slipped yet more smartly back again to his companions. The sea cook looked at what had been given him. "The black spot. I thought so," he observed. "Where might you have got the paper?" "Why, hello, look here now. This ain't lucky. You've gone and cut itself a Bible. What fool's cut a Bible?" "Ah, there," said Morgan. "There. What did I say? No good'll come of that, I said." "Well, you've about fixed it now among you," continued Silver. "You'll all swing now, I reckon. What soft-headed lubber had a Bible?" "It was Dick," said one. "Dick, was it? Then Dick can get to prayers," said Silver. "He's seen his slice of luck, has Dick, and you may lay to that." But here the long man with the yellow eyes struck in. "Belay that talk, John Silver," he said. "This crew has tipped you the black spot in full council, as in duty bound. Just you turn it over as in duty bound, and see what's wrote there. Then you can talk." "Thank ye, George," replied the sea cook. "You always was brisk for business, and has the rules by heart, George, as I'm pleased to see. Well, what is it, anyway? Ah, deposed. That's it, is it? Very pretty wrote, to be sure. Like print, I swear. Your hand a right, George? Why, you was getting quite a leading men, this here crew. You'll be captain next, I shouldn't wonder. Just oblige me with that torch again, will you? This pipe don't draw." "Come now," said George. "You don't fool this crew no more. You're a funny man by your account, but you're over now, and you'll maybe step down off that barrel and help vote." "I thought you said you knowed the rules," returned Silver contemptuously. "Leastways, if you don't, I do. And I wait here, and I'm still your captain, mind, till you outs with your grievances, and I reply. In the meantime, your black spot ain't worth a biscuit." After that, we'll see. Oh, replied George, you don't be under no kind of apprehension. We're all square, we are. First, you've made a hash of this cruise. You'll be a bold man to say no to that. Second, you let the enemy out of this here trap for nothing. Why did they want out? I don't know, but it's pretty plain they wanted it. Third, you wouldn't let us go at them upon the march. Oh, we see through you, John Silver. You want to play booty. That's what's wrong with you. And then fourth, there's this here boy. Is that all? Asked Silver quietly. Enough, too, retorted George. We all swing and sundry for your bungling. Okay. They've given him this black spot, and on it says the word deposed. To depose somebody who's in charge is to get rid of them, to get them out of power. And so they've handed it to him, and he's like, oh, thought so. And then George is like, and we're going to vote. And John said, no, that's not the rules. You don't vote until after I hear your grievances. What do you have? What is your problem? And then I also get a chance to respond to them. And George is like, okay, here they are. You messed up this cruise. He says, you made a hash of the cruise. You messed up the whole trip. Okay. You did. And then second, you let the enemy out of the stockade and they wanted to get out and we don't know why they wanted, but you let them out. Right. And you wouldn't let them wouldn't let us attack them as they were leaving. And we wanted to, but you didn't let us do it. And now there's this kid and you won't let us kill him. So that's why. And Silver's like, is that all? Is that it? Like, that's nothing. And George is like, yeah, you know what? Because of you, we're probably all going to hang. It's your fault. And here's what Silver says. Well, now look here. I'll answer these 4 pints one after another. I'll answer them. I made a hash of this cruise, did I? Well, now, you all know what I wanted. And you all know if that had been done, that we'd been aboard the Hispaniola this night as ever was, every man of us alive and fit and full of good plum duff, and the treasure in the hold of her, by thunder. Well, who crossed me? Who forced my hand, as was the lawful captain? Who tipped me the black spot the day we landed and began to dance? Ha! It's a fine dance. I'm with you there. And looks mighty like a hornpipe in a rope's end at Execution Dock by London town, it does. But who done it? Why, it was Anderson and Hands and you, George Mary. And you're the last above board of that same meddling crew. And you have the Davy Jones insolence to up and stand for capping over me? You that sank the lot of us? By the powers, but this tops the stiffest yarn to nothing. Okay, we just got a piece of information. Long John says that they gave him the black spot the minute, or like that day when they got to shore. They gave him a black spot right then. Okay. And that's probably what set off all the violence at the very beginning, like killing the guys that didn't want to turn and go with them. Because remember, those men wanted him to hurry up and just kill the folks, where he wanted to wait for the all the gold and everything to be found and brought onto the ship. But the day they landed, the guys were not in a good mood. And this is what that was all about. Now we know what was going on. They tried to get rid of John Silver then. Okay. Silver paused, and I could see by the faces of George and his late comrades that these words had not been said in vain. That's for number 1, cried the accused, wiping the sweat from his brow, for he'd been talking with vehemence that shook the house. Why, I give you my word I'm sick to speak to you. You've neither sense nor memory, and I leave it to fancy where your mother's was that let you come to sea. Sea, gentlemen of fortune. I reckon tailors is your trade. Go on, John, said Morgan. Speak up to the others. Ah, the others, returned John. They're a nice lot, ain't they? You say this cruise is bungled. Ah, by gum, if you could understand how bad it's bungled, you would see. We're that near the gibbet that my neck's stiff with thinking on it. You've seen 'em, maybe, hanged in chains, birds about 'em, see men pinting them out as they go down with the tide. Who's that, says one. Why, that's John Silver. I knowed him well, says another. And you can hear the chains a jangle as you go about and reach for another bowie. Now, that's about where we are, every mother's son of us, thanks to him and Hands and Anderson and other ruination fools of you. And if you want to know about number 4 and that boy, I shiver my timbers. Isn't he a hostage? Are we going to waste a hostage? No, not us. He might be our last chance, and I shouldn't wonder. Kill that boy, not me. Not me, mates. And number three? Ha, well, there's a deal to say no to number three. Maybe you don't count it nothing to have a real college doctor to see you every day, you. John with your head broke, or you George Mary that had the egg shakes upon you not 6 hours agone and has your eyes the color of lemon peel to the same moment on the clock. And maybe perhaps you didn't know there was a consort coming either, but there is, and not so long till then, and we'll see who will be glad to have a hostage when it comes to that. And as for number two and why I made a bargain, well, you came crawling on your knees to me to make it. On your knees you came. He was that downhearted. And you'd have starved too if I hadn't, but that's a trifle. You look there, that's why. Okay, so he's answered all their charges. He says that to number one, him bungling it, it wasn't him, it was them because they turned on him as soon as they got to shore. So they're the ones who did it. The second one was the making a bargain and letting, taking this place from the people who didn't want it anymore. Well, they had asked him to do that and they would have starved and they were very upset. And by coming here, at least they had food and they would be happy about that. And the third thing that they had a problem with, it was that he didn't let them attack them as they left. And he's like, we have a doctor taking care of us now. And you need a doctor. Your head's hurt. Your eyes are all yellow, which means he has jaundice from having some kind of fever, some kind of sickness, probably malaria, because they were in a swamp. Okay. And the fourth thing, of course, is Jim, and he's like, he's a hostage. You don't kill a hostage. He might come in some use. Okay. All right. And he cast down upon the floor a paper that I instantly recognized, none other than the chart on yellow paper with the 3 red crosses that I had found in the oilcloth at the bottom of the captain's chest. Why the doctor had given it to him was more than I could fancy. But if it were inexplicable to me, the appearance of the chart was incredible to the surviving mutineers. They leaped upon it like cats upon a mouse. It went from hand to hand, one tearing it from another, and by the oaths and the cries and the childish laughter with which they accompanied their examination, you would have thought not only were they fingering the very gold, but were at sea with it, besides, in safety. Yes, said one, that's Flint sure enough, J.F., and a score below with a clove hitch to it, so he'd done ever. Mighty pretty, said George, but how are we going to get away with it? And us with no ship? Silver suddenly sprang up and supporting himself with a hand against the wall. Now, I give you warning, George, he cried. One more word of your sauce, and I'll call you down and fight you. How? Why, how do I know? You had ought to tell me that. You and the rest that lost me my schooner, and with your interference, burn you. But not you. You can't. You ain't got the invention of a cockroach. But civil you can speak, and shall, George Mary, may lay to that. That's fair enough, said the old man Morgan. Fair I reckon so, said the sea cook. You lost the ship, I found the treasure. Who's the better man at that? And now I resign, by thunder. Elect whom you please to be your cap. Now I'm done with it. Silver, they cried. Barbecue forever. Barbecue for captain. So that's the tune, is it? Cried the cook. George, I reckon you'll have to wait another turn, friend. And lucky for you, as I'm not a revengeful man. But that was never my way. And now, shipmates, this black spot, tain't much good now, is it? Dick's crossed his luck and spoiled his Bible, and that's about all. It'll do to kiss the book on still, won't it? Growled Dick, who was evidently uneasy as the curse he had brought upon himself. A Bible with a bit cut out? Returned Silver derisively. Not it. It don't buy no more in a ballad book. Don't it, though? Cried Dick with a sort of joy. Well, I reckon that's worth having, too. Here, Jim, here's a curiosity for you, said Silver, and he tossed me the paper. It was round, about the size of a crown piece. One side was blank, for it had been the last leaf. The other contained a verse or two of Revelation. These words among the rest, which struck sharply home upon my mind. Without are dogs and murderers. The printed side had been blackened with wood ash, which already began to come off and soil my fingers. On the blank side had been written with the same material, the one word, deposed. I have that curiosity beside me at this moment, but meaning he has the black spot with him as he's writing this. But not a trace of writing now remains beyond a single scratch, such as a man might make with his thumbnail. That was the end of the night's business. Soon after, with a drink all around, we lay down to sleep, and the outside of Silver's vengeance was to put George Merry up for sentinel and threaten him with death if he should prove unfaithful. It was long ere I could close an eye, and heaven knows I had matter enough for thought in the man whom I had slain that afternoon, in my own most perilous position, and above all, in the remarkable game that I saw Silver now engaged upon, keeping the mutineers together with one hand, and grasping with the other for every means possible and impossible to make his peace and save his miserable life. He himself slept peacefully and snored aloud, yet my heart was sore for him, wicked as he was, to think on the dark perils that environed and the shameful gibbet that awaited him. This was another tough chapter because of all the talking and not understanding, pirate lore and pirate rules and pirate speech and pirate lingo. Okay. But the gist of it is one of the pirates named George Merry wanted to take over from Silver. And he called the other guys together. They all got together and they put the black spot on the piece of the Bible. And that's their official way of doing it, and presented it to Silver and told him that they wanted to depose him, which means he wouldn't be the captain anymore. And they told him why they were mad, and he explained each of those reasons why they weren't good enough. And then he had him almost convinced, but then he pulled the map out that the doctor had given him and throws it down. And they all see the map, and it's a treasure map, and they're all like, "What? We have the treasure map!" And they get all excited. And Silver knows that, and he tells them that there's a ship coming eventually. So maybe they think that they can still overpower the other people and get the treasure and somehow get it onto that ship when it comes to them. Anyway, that map gave them hope, and it made it so they didn't want to get rid of Long John Silver as captain. And they even start shouting his name, and George Merry doesn't get to be captain. He's probably kind of mad about that. And Long John Silver makes George Merry be the sentinel, meaning the guy that watches over everybody at night, and threatened him with death if something happened. How weird for Jim right now, right? To be in the camp of these guys and be the hostage of these guys and only have Long John Silver for a friend. I guess we're gonna have to see what happens next, because that's the end of this chapter. Okay, and there will be more later.